So in the last video we learned how important agriculture is. Agriculture provides us with a variety of food, but it does not limit itself to providing food only. It also provides us with the opportunity to work. Therefore, we can say that agriculture is a major occupation. Almost 60 to 70% of the world population is dependent on agriculture. It is therefore providing work to a huge population. And the income that is generated out of agriculture adds to the national income. So we can say that if agriculture is doing well, then the country will also prosper. So the rice that we eat every day in lunch, what do we call it? It is a food crop. So therefore, what is a food crop? A food crop is one that is grown for consumption, like cereals, pulses, vegetables and fruits. And the chief food crop of any area is called the staple crop of that area. Now since rice is of high demand in India, we can say that rice is a staple food crop in India. Now, the coffee that we drink in winters, it's so nice. And the cotton clothes that we wear in summers gives us comfort. Tea, coffee and cotton are some of the most important cash crops in India. Now, what do we mean by cash crops? We mean that these crops are grown to sell in the market. The coffee that we drink and the cotton clothes that we wear in summer, where do we get these from? We get these from the markets. So cash crops are those that are sold in the market and distributed worldwide. So now, can you help me answer this question? Which of the following is a cash crop? Is it rice? Is it wheat? Is it coffee? Or is it maize? It is coffee. So here we understood that there are basically two types of crops, cash crops and food crops. So now let us differentiate between these two types of crops. So let's see what the first point has to say. So cash crops can either be consumed directly or processed into other final products. So when cash crops are cultivated or grown, they can either be directly consumed or they are sent to factories where they are processed into other final products which are then consumed or are distributed for consumption purpose. On the other hand, food crops can be defined or can be referred to those crops that can only be eaten. So they are not for commercial purpose. They are only for the purpose of consumption. So let's see what the second point has to say. So it says that cash crops, these crops are grown on a large scale and are sold in both national and international markets. So we need to remember that since these are for commercial purpose, that is that they are sold in markets, both national and international markets, therefore they are grown on a very large scale. But on the other hand, the food crops that are only for consumption are grown for domestic consumption, as I mentioned earlier. So they are only for consumption. So they are only for domestic consumption. They are not for the purpose of sale. Now coming to the third point. So it says that the cash crops are grown for the purpose of profit. Yes, as I've mentioned earlier, that the cash crops are grown for a commercial purpose on a very large scale. So it definitely requires a profit for the person who is investing in the cultivation of these cash crops. So we need to remember that cash crops are grown for the purpose of profit. But on the other hand, since food crops are grown for the purpose of domestic consumption, that is only to be eaten and not to be sold, they are mostly grown to feed human population, right? So they are not for sale and there's no intention to make any profit out of the cultivation of food crops. So to take some examples, we have tea and coffee as the two most important beverages that are cash crops or examples of cash crops, right? So they are grown on a very large scale. We have coffee and tea plantations. So they are grown on a very large scale and they are sold in both national and international market, and these are grown for the purpose of profit. On the other hand, we have wheat and rice as examples of the food crops, because they are not for the purpose of sale or to make profit, rather they are only for domestic consumption. So these were some important differences between cash crops and food crops. Now, sugar and tea industry are important agro-based industries. What do we mean by that? That these products are drawn from the raw agricultural crops like sugarcane and tea. From sugarcane we derive sugar that is distributed in the markets, and from tea leaves or tea plantations we have the tea that we have every day. Therefore, sugarcane and tea are major commercial crops in India. So we know that sugarcane, which is a raw material drawn from agricultural fields, need to be processed in the industries from where sugar, that is a product, is derived and distributed in the markets. Similarly, the tea leaves that we get from the tea plantations is processed into the tea that we have every day. So just like Brazil exports a huge amount of coffee across the world and is often known as the largest exporter of coffee, similarly there are certain agricultural exports of India too. So to name them, we have cereals, which mostly include basmati and non-basmati rice. Then we have spices, cashew, oil cake or meals, tobacco, tea and coffee. Now, just for your understanding, oil cakes are protein-rich residues that are obtained after extracting the oil from oil seeds. For example, just like we extract mustard oil from mustard seed, so the residue that is left behind is very rich in protein, and such residues or such oil cakes or oil meals are used as poultry feed. So these are some of the major agricultural exports of India. Now, do you think these agricultural exports are important for India? Well, yes. When we export these goods out of our country, we also bring in foreign exchange. So, foreign exchange comes into the country when we export these goods. So when we export these agricultural goods, we bring in foreign exchange in return. And these foreign exchange, when comes into the country, they help us advance or modernize with our agricultural industry, and thus it leads to the boost, and thus it gives a boost to the agricultural industry and by extension to our economy. So this is a world map showing the major crops of the world. Let's look at them. First here is maize. Now we see that maize colored in yellow in the legend shows that this part of North America grows maize in large quantities, while millet here in this region of Africa shows that there is a huge production of millet in this area and it is exported all over the world. While we're talking of rice in China and India is grown in large quantities in these regions and it is exported. That's a major commercial crop. Now today we have learned what is a food crop, what is a cash crop, what is the difference between the two, what is an agro-based industry, and the major crops of the world in the world map. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock test. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it is rewarding too. So register for free now.